Hi everyone, and welcome to my review of the DQSM audio. And the particular model I'm going to be reviewing is the Hermit. And this is kind of a follow-up to the review I did a couple of weeks ago, which I called Battle of the Micro Machines, or the Micro IEMs. And at the time, I had the Tanyas, I had the Tanyas, the Tanchjim Tanyas. I had the MOONDROP SSP. I had the Blon BLMini. I had the AudioSense T100 and the Kinetic SIF. And out of that initial comparison, I came to the conclusion that the three that stood out the most were the Tanya, the SSP, and the Blon. And of those three, my personal favorite was the Tanya, and that's why the Tanya is the one that is now, let's say, defending its title and battling out against not only the Hermits, but also an oldie, but I thought it made sense to actually putting it in here, which is the MH755, the Sony, and this is an original, not a fake one. This is original. It's been modified by me to have MMCX connectors. Okay, and another IEM which I kind of had left a little bit to the side, which was the final audio, the E2K. It's probably from what I was able to ascertain, probably the most balanced out of all of them, and in terms of not only what it plays and how it plays and what the signature is all about, but also in terms of price, and it was the one that actually made the most sense with regards to the ones that I have here in front of me. So we're talking about $8 to $12 for the Sonys. We're talking about anywhere between 22 and 28 for the Tanyas. Talking about the same thing, roughly the same thing for the DQSM Hermits, and the E2K about, again, the same thing, up to about $30. So any one of these here is priced, with the exception of the Sony, between the $20 and $30 bracket. Anyway, on to the DQSM. Comes in a simple box, no frills. I should try and open it, would be nice. There we go. Okay, the IEMs came sitting over there. It brought some tips, some literature, and like I said, no frills, simple affair, nothing yet too spectacular to write home about. The IEMs themselves are, well, in my opinion, very, very nice. Bullet style, solid construction. I mean, bulletproof, really. Built like a tank, all metal. If there are points to call it on in terms of being negative, or the fact that it has got no connector, which it could easily have a connector, it has enough shell for that. So that was actually a pity. It would have been nice. It is dual vented, so there's, see if I can actually, there we go. If we actually look carefully, if this thing would focus, would be nice. There we go. Okay, so we have one vent over there. There. We're gonna go. No, yes, maybe no. It's over here. Let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. So one vent over there, front vent, and the rear vent. This is giving me a bit of a hard time. Doesn't want to focus, huh? Come on, people. And there's the rear vent. So dual vented, 6.8mm driver. I wasn't able to ascertain what's the type of diaphragm that they're using, but it's got a nice weight to it. The cable is a bit microphonic. I was very disappointed with that. I mean, like I said, it is what it is. It's got reasonable quality. Fit is, for my ears at least, was okay. It was fine, not a real problem there. But isolation, well, it's not the best. So I guess with the different tips, I'm actually using the standard tips, which worked fine. So I didn't really change out the tips. But that's the IEMs themselves. Like I said, nice hard shell metal alloy of some sort. It looks very nice. It looks the business. What does it sound like? Well, before I get into what it does it sound like, just maybe give a quick recap on the other ones. The Tanya is it's a very easy listening IEM. It's an IEM that will please everybody. It's kind of got a, probably don't want to, well, a Harman kind of signature. The quality of the construction is decent. It's very much tip dependent, and with the wide board tips, that's where I found that you got the best results. You might lose a little bit in terms of imaging compared to the narrow bore, but the wide board definitely are the ones to go for, especially because of the roll off in the highs. The bass is fat. It's relatively controlled, but it's sometimes it's definitely more mid bass focused. It's not, it goes deep enough. It's a little bit fat in excess sometimes, so it is okay. It is like I said, it's not gonna offend anybody, and I like the bass. The reality is I like it. The mids are pretty good, very nicely done. They can be a little bit shouty sometimes, but not really a problem. And like I said, the treble being a little bit being rolled off relatively early can sometimes make for a little bit of a closed, muffled sound, and that also detracts away from its detail capabilities. And stuff like cymbals can sound a little bit dark. I mean, it's vocals, especially female vocals, can also sound a little bit dull. But in all, it's decent. I mean, it's nothing, like I said, that is going to be offensive. What they do very well is they scale quite nicely. So if you give them some power, they really start to shine. And that's how I think that the Tanya should be listened to, is with a proper dongle or a proper DAC, and that way, and with the whiteboard tips, that way you'll be able to get out of them what they are capable of doing. So yeah, that's basically the Tanyas in a nutshell. Let me put these aside. E2Ks. Quality of construction for me is perhaps my biggest gripe. It's an open back IEM. You can see the shell at the back here. It's a kind of a grill. So open back. It's a 6mm driver. What can be said about it? It's a kind of a mild V signature. Like I said, in terms of the build quality, not very, not the greatest. It's, although the shell is metal, it is a metal shell. It looks just very flimsy for me. In my opinion, it looks very flimsy, especially when you consider what you're paying for them. The sound, well, how does it break down? Well, bass is not neutral. It's not a neutral bass, but the bass is got a nice texture and a nice speed to it, better than the Tanyas. So it makes up for perhaps a lack of sub bass extension by being a much more quality bass, let's put it that way, as compared to the Tanyas. The mid-range is relatively neutral with good detail, and the treble is again pretty nice. It's actually better than the Tanyas because of not having as much mid-bass boost as the Tanya. It sounds more coherent, so it sounds more balanced out. The stage, soundstage is pretty decent again. It's wide enough, maybe not the tallest, but wide enough. It's got good imaging, better than the Tanyas. The Tanyas with the wideboard tips lose out a little bit in imaging, but they make up for it in trying to create more air in the sound. Let's put it that way, a little bit more openness, where these don't suffer from that problem. The good speed, the quickness of the bass and of the mid-range is accentuated as well if you actually power them or give them a little bit more power than just the standard phone, making for, like I said, it's a very it's very correct, the sound of the final E's, and the only part that probably is not really the 100% there is the fact that the bass is a little bit boosted, so it's not a natural sounding bass, but it's very tastefully done, so nice. Sony's, well, it's a V-shaped Harman. Like I said, these ones were modified by me to be able to have a MMCX connector. Proper sub bass, proper sub bass, way better than the Tanyas and the final E's. Very good tonal balance. Construction and quality of the quality of the cable, the standard cable, is a joke, so we won't even go there. The upper mids are very nicely done, and I think that's what makes for a very balanced sound. Even though it's got that big bass, the sound is very nice. It's very balanced. It's very pleasurable to listen to, and you actually are surprised that this only costs $8 and it sounds so good. You kind of question, how is it possible? Wide soundstage, imaging is as good as the imaging on the E2K, and again, with power, it improves. So any one of these three, power definitely makes them shine. The Tanyas, just to recap, the ones that probably will please the most everybody. The final E's, very correct sound across the board. The MH755s, I think it's probably the quality of the construction, the standard cables and so on and so forth, if you don't modify it, that put it down. But in terms of sound, out of the three, for me personally, this is the one I prefer. If I have to be totally honest, because it's got its magic. Okay, enter the Hermit, and that's how we want to know what the Hermit sounds like and compares to the rest. This is a neutral, bright kind of signature. It reminds me very much of the HC Sound Heart Mirror. Okay, like I mentioned before, build quality is excellent. The bass is very clean, very punchy. It really hits hard, but it does so with power. So once again, power is the secret to any one of these IEMs to really shine, and the Hermit is no exception. The mids are very neutral, but the upper mids are emphasized, and that helps with the detail capability that these are capable of doing. I mean, the detail retrieval of this is spectacular. It's really spectacular. The treble is polite, and the main thing is there's no sibilance. If you will find some shoutiness in the Tanya, in the mids, not on the E2K, some sibilance on the MH sometimes. These ones, nothing. It's perfect. The treble, yeah, it's perfect. It's very well done. Well, for my personal taste. Soundstage is wide. It's probably the one that has the best soundstage of all. Imaging, excellent. It's, again, for me, it's probably the one that has the best imaging. It is superior to the Tanyas, definitely, and slightly better than the imaging on the E2Ks and on the MH755s. So how does it all stand? Well, if the Tanyas were, let's say, the champions of the first round, and I mean, like I said, I hadn't included the final E's into this equation, nor the 755s. The Hermits, they come, and for me the Hermit is a more tastefully done E2K with a little bit extra bass quality. So it's if the bass quality was decent in the E2K in terms of speed and texture, this improves upon it. It definitely improves upon it. There's more speed, more texture. It's really nice bass. The mids are every bit as good, better than the E2K, and the highs. I mean, the mids and the highs, the upper mids and the highs are what really make this one stand out in all of them. I will take a bold statement here and say that for me, these ones are now out of the micro machines, let's put it that way, they are probably the best ones. The sound that they are able to put out is really something that must be heard to be fully appreciated. And like I said, they all have their flaws. So I guess we have a new king. If the Tanya was the previous winner and the E2Ks came and kind of gave him a really hard time and probably are superior in many aspects to the Tanyas, these ones, they came in from nowhere and they beat the E2Ks and the Tanyas. The MH755, I find it a little bit hard to place simply because it's a way bigger driver. It's a 9.2mm driver, and I actually just put it in here for the sake of having another way of comparing the Hermits to three different styles of signatures, three different sound styles. So yeah, there we have it. For me, these are the new Micro Machine champions. All right, thank you. Take care. Bye bye.